Okay, you guys, so as you can tell by the title of this video, we are going to be going through some more Q&As that went on between TFW 2005 and Hasbro as my cat is meowing as I do the intro to this video. Yay! But, so I'm going to be going over a couple questions here in this video that I didn't have enough time to go over in my extended 30-minute video going over this whole interview that dropped, was that like a week ago now at this point? So this first question here, this is a bit of a long one that I'm going to be reading, so get your special pants on, nerds. So TFWS, there's been talk at the convention of Armada Jetfire, maybe Overload, from the crowd. He's known for dual combination if something was made. Would you want to guarantee that happens? And in the same manner, if Cybertron Optimus was made, would the combination with LEOBREAKER and Wing Saber also happen? And then Evan from Hasbro responded with, I definitely hear you there. So starting with Jetfire, yes, Optimus needs a new pair of pants, so he will definitely have that functionality because that's so iconic to the character. I definitely think if we do Jetfire in the future, I would expect that combination to happen. Going for the Cybertron Optimus Prime, I will tell you that Yuki-san over at Takara Tomy is a big fan of the series and that character, and making sure that Wing Saber LEOBREAKER always pops up, and so that functionality would be very important to do if we ever do him again. It would not just be Galaxy Upgrade Optimus Prime again, it would be an all-new mold, and we would make sure that functionality was in there and looked as best as it's ever looked. That would definitely be the goal. And then Nate chimed in, he said here, and I want to make sure that Evan and Mark get full credit because every time that I throw an idea at them based on something that's already out there, they're like, yeah, we already talked about that. These guys are so forward-thinking, and every year we get a specific budget and we spend it as we see fit. We have a ton of autonomy, but we got to have a certain number of figures, Deluxe's Voyager, etc. So when Mark was designing Armada Optimus Prime, I promise you, and he would confirm it, he's already thinking, if and when we do Jetfire, how do I build this Optimus Prime to work together? Even if it's not in the same year, even if it's not in the next 5 years, Takara's the same way. And then Evan says here, that's the way that they think because those are always a priority. So, a bit of a long answer there, but some stuff to kind of break down and talk about and speculate here. So, we already have the listing for Armada Jetfire coming out next year, right? I think this is confirmation that they're going to try and do Jetfire as right as possible, especially as a commander class. I mean, there should be little room for stuff to mess up on in terms of the engineering, look of the figure, etc. So I think we're good on Jetfire. I think he's going to be a banger figure next year, unless if they do something completely out of left field and stupid with him, which, again, he's a $90 commander. I doubt something like that would happen, but it's Hasbro, you never know. Now, with the Cybertron Prime thing, LEOBREAKER and Wing Saber, I don't know how excited I would be for this, considering I feel like a third-party company like Fans Hobby or the one that did that Cybertron Optimus a year or two ago, they're going to be doing that at some point soon, I'd say, within the next year or two. So I don't know, like, with Hasbro, how excited me personally I would be at this point, because it seems like third-party stuff are starting to dip into these characters that Hasbro is pretty slow on making, especially with, some cartoon characters. So I don't know when we could get this. Obviously, they're confirming here that they are going to do him at some point. They're going to redo him. He's not going to be on the same mold as that absolutely horrendous Galaxy Upgrade Siege figure from 2019. I cannot believe some people call that a definitive Cybertron Optimus, or they love that figure. I mean, it's cool for what it is. It's like a reference to the Cybertron design, but that is not a good upgrade or update for the Cybertron character and design of Optimus. So hopefully that figure is done as a commander class, but honestly, guys, I could see this Optimus Prime being done as like a Titan class in the same vein as Star Convoy this year. He might not cost 150, I'd say maybe like 120, 130, because I don't see him being that complex as Star Optimus, but he's supposed to be a big beefy guy, supposed to have a lot of features, weapons, accessories. So I definitely do feel like he may be a Commander Plus release if they ever do him. I don't think he's going to be a HasLab or a made-to-order. I mean, I'm just now thinking this. He could potentially be a HasLab one day in like a year or two. I would not be surprised considering how well Omega Prime funded, keyword funded. Obviously, it wasn't a good release, ton of QC problems. But in terms of how many people backed that project and bought it and the amount of money Hasbro made off of that HasLab, if you guys do the math, like Hasbro made some crazy bank off of that HasLab Omega Prime. So I definitely do feel like they would want to do another HasLab Optimus at some point, regardless of how ridiculous it is getting a HasLab Optimus, you know, considering HasLab is supposed to be stuff that you wouldn't be able to get in retail, and we definitely could have gotten already 2001 Magnus and Optimus at retail, but that's besides the point. With how good the numbers were, I could also see Cybertron Optimus, LEOBREAKER, and Wing Saber as well included as a 3-pack for a HasLab release within the next 2-3 years, maybe. That could be a possibility, but I don't know, with the amount of hype behind these characters getting redone in the modern era at some point, I don't think Hasbro would want to lock those behind a super expensive HasLab, but I could be wrong, because with how they've handled these characters, especially Unicron Trilogy, they're all over the place. So it's really hard to tell what they're going to do with something as big and grand as Cybertron Optimus. We're just going to have to wait and see. But either or, it's confirmation here that yes, they're going to do him, and he's going to be a new mold at some point down the line, probably within the next few years, it seems like here. And then another question here from TFW, is Primus more likely to be a HasLab or a Titan if made? Evan says more than likely a HasLab. We've definitely talked about it because recently there's been a lot of requests for him. So hopefully at some point in the future, he can be a future HasLab. Woo! So, continuing this HasLab talk, I guess, Primus. He's been brought up by fans in Hasbro the last couple of years. We thought he was actually going to be the HasLab for 2024 because they were kind of throwing up hints, like they had the Cybertron Primus in some videos with the designers talking about the next HasLab announcement. So they've kind of been playing around the idea and teasing it for a while now. So I definitely would not be surprised if Primus is the next HasLab after Lyle Kaiser for 2026 or something. I would also not be surprised if he is a Titan class for, one of the upcoming Generations lines, whether it's Age of the Primes Part 2 or something completely different. Within the next couple years, I definitely do think we're getting Primus in some form and fashion. Because look at the landscape of Transformers media and toy media right now within the collector lines from Hasbro. They are focusing on the 13 Primes. They are focusing on the lore of the Primes and all of that stuff. Primus, he's the creator of them all. He's the god of Transformers, basically. He's Cybertron. He created the 13 Primes. Yeah, I think they're going to knock him out at some point soon, within the next year, 2 years, 3 years maybe. So in the next few years, Primus is definitely on their radar. It would just make perfect sense considering their focus on the lore of the 13 Primes right now and doing all of these characters, surrounding the 13. And we just got HasLab, well, we didn't just get it, but we got HasLab Unicron 4 years ago. So he's missing his buddy. He's missing his arch enemy. You got the devil of the Transformers universe. You got to get the god of the Transformers universe now. So he's coming. He's definitely coming in the next couple years, definitely. And Hasbro is talking about it here, it being a HasLab. So they're basically confirming they're doing him, possibly more than likely as a HasLab, they're saying here. So I think he's either going to be the HasLab for 2027 or maybe next year, unless if things change. Because again, we're not totally sure. This is just Evan talking about future plans that they could do or may already have in the cards right now, but they don't want to confirm anything outright. So I don't know, but definitely he's probably going to be a HasLab in the next couple years, I'd say. And the last thing I wanted to talk about here is TFW asks, what Beast Wars characters do you most want to make? And Evan says, oh, that is a very good question. Let me think about that for a moment, because we just did obviously Big Convoy, which was a big one. You know what? I've actually got a lot of requests for these guys, and I think it's also something that we need to do. Combiners from Beast Wars, so MAGNABOSS and Tripredacus, they would be a lot of fun to do. That would be, I think, next on our list if we could get there. Is this Evan throwing subliminals, or is this just him saying he would like to do these within the next year or two, basically, you know, having them next up on the list, he's saying here. I don't know, it could be one or the other, or it could be a mix of both. But going by how they answer these interviews, and some people on YouTube don't understand, like, how Hasbro answers in these interviews, they're, like, I'd say like 70-80% of the time they're alluding to future releases that TFW is asking about here. So if somebody on YouTube gets all butthurt about people talking about these answers and, you know, basically getting word from Hasbro how these figures are going to come out, or when they're going to come out, or if they're doing them, that's on them. Because, you know, I just don't understand why you wouldn't take this as word that Hasbro would be doing a MAGNABOSS and Tripredacus at some point. You're talking about one of the main lead designers over at Hasbro Transformers. He wouldn't just say this just to say this, and we would never get a MAGNABOSS and Tripredacus within the next few years. So I definitely do think they would make these Commander class releases, or I could see these as made to order, because there's been rumors over the last 6 months that Hasbro is dipping their feet into made to order Transformers releases at some point down the line. And why wouldn't it be any more perfect than to do Tripredacus and MAGNABOSS, two combiners from Beast Wars that fans have been asking for such a long time now? It makes perfect sense. Or I could see them being two mainline commanders of maybe 2027 for whatever the Generations line is going to be that year. Who knows? But yeah, guys, I mean, Hasbro is basically giving word on how they're going to do and how they're going to release MAGNABOSS, Tripredacus, HasLab Primus, and a new Cybertron Optimus, Armada Jetfire, LEOBREAKER, and Wing Saber. So when do you guys think these figures are going to come out, and how do you think they're going to be released? And yeah, guys, thank you for watching this video. I'll catch y'all in the next one. See ya!